Hello, this is Rabbi Shlomo Zalman Bregman of the Jewish Executive Learning Network and BregmanSuccess.com. We are now up to video 2 in the Mesilas Yesharim series, Path of the Just. Hope you enjoyed the first one. If you haven't seen it yet, do check it out. You should find it on the playlist that I'm creating for this book series in YouTube. So let's keep going. The Ramchal, Rabbi Luzzatto, in the 1700s. We're going through his classic work, sharing with you a lot of insights. Let's keep going. So I want to share with you today something that he says on page 7 in my edition. And please look in the series. If you look under the videos, you should be able to find links if you'd like to purchase a copy. Not from me, buy it from the publishers or wherever you want. Free stuff, ebooks. But, you know, get the original and learn it up good. Okay, so he says like this, and he's asking a rhetorical question. It's like he doesn't want you to answer. He's saying like, duh, it's obvious. He says like this: is it fitting that our intelligence exert itself and labor in speculations which are not binding on us? In other words, should you use the mind God gave you to focus and work so hard on trying to figure out things that aren't even that important, and he's not expecting you to know, and that are not really important or worthy or so weighty in terms of what is your mission and purpose in life? Should you use your brain on things like that? Okay, and maybe in fruitless argumentation. You know people like that do fruitless argumentation. Most married people do that. Okay, I'm kidding. Okay, sort of half kidding. But for real, a lot of people argue about nonsense and baloney left and right? Is that what you should be putting your mind on? How about laws that have no application to us? Okay, he's talking about sometimes people study areas of Torah that are not laws that we're able to observe today, yet they miss some other very important things that even a spiritual-oriented person should be working on. Okay, and then he says, but so you're doing all these things, fruitless argumentation, things that aren't binding on you, just speculation. Okay, maybe it's all right to use your mind on that sometimes, but should you be involved in that and using your mental and spiritual gifts to be focused on that when and while we leave to habit and abandon to mechanical observance our great debt to our Creator? So I want to focus on this line, and that's going to be the subject of this video. Abandoning to mechanical observance our great debt to our Creator. Okay, what do I want to say here? My friends, this is the point. Whether you are Jewish or not, whatever your background is, even if you're involved in spiritual growth, whether it's Torah study, whatever you're involved in, it's very easy to fall into a routine, mechanical time when you basically become a spiritual person, a mitzvah commandment doer, but you're on autopilot. You're just kind of going in a mechanical kind of way. That is not what is intended. If you look in the Torah writings, certainly in the Hasidic Sfarim, the Hasidic Torah works, you often see that a mitzvah, every commandment, in English you might call it a commandment, whether you consider it a good deed, a proper spiritual practice, whatever you're involved with, you have to be careful. There's flies here. Outdoors is what happens, right? You have to make sure that your spiritual practice, your mitzvah, your growth, your Torah study, your good deeds, the areas you're working on, you have to make sure you don't become rote and mechanical in doing it. It's very easy the first time, let's say you're going to practice reading the Shema prayer every day, which is one of the 613 commandments in the Torah, to put your mind and heart into it real strong and like try to understand it and really relate to each word. But it's very common that after you do that for a while, like the words start to come out of your mouth on almost autopilot. And you know, this observance, this beautiful spiritual uplifting thing, it's one of the 613 commandments. That's big, okay? But it becomes rote mechanical observance, okay? Rote mechanical observance is a problem for an uplifted, spiritually aware person. It's a problem. You're supposed to have your mind and heart on it, okay? Now, I always do every video as one take. I don't have notes. Realize I got off track, but I come back and remember what I was saying. In the Hasidic works, it all works out in the end, right? It all comes out in the wash. In the Hasidic works, it often talks about the idea that every mitzvah, every commandment, has a body and a soul. A body and a soul. What does that mean? A body and a soul. The body of the mitzvah is the actual performance of the mitzvah. If it's giving charity, it's taking the money and giving it to the poor person, or putting it in the charity box, or you can go to, my website and give a donation, right, to Jewish Executive Learning Network. I'm kidding, not kidding, kidding, not kidding, if you know what I mean, right? But, that is like the body of the mitzvah, is the doing of the mitzvah, doing of the commandment. The soul of the mitzvah, the spiritual soul of the mitzvah, is what you're supposed to be thinking, what you're supposed to be feeling, putting your heart into it. That's a soul. You have a body of a mitzvah and the soul, okay? So it could be a lot of things. Whether you're praying every day, there's a commandment in the Torah for a person to pray every single day. So the praying is actually saying the words and so on and so forth. But if you're just doing the body of the mitzvah and the soul, the connection, the meaning, the heart, the feeling is missing, it doesn't work. I'll tell you this one, and the Torah talks about this. Like if you see in like day-to-day life, you see a person, okay, God forbid, and you see a body, but there's no soul, we call that a dead body. In Hebrew, that's called a nifter. It's that person's not here anymore, okay? That's a dead body. And the same happens if a person becomes mechanical and rote in their observance. You hear what I'm trying to say? So what the Ramchal over here is saying is that there's a lot of things that we could spend our mind on and put our talents and our faculties, a lot of it, a lot of good worthwhile things, but don't leave to just sort of autopilot. And maybe that's a name we could, work into the name of the video. Autopilot, mechanical observance. The Ramchal is saying if you want to go on the path of those who are yashar, straight, proper, becoming who they're supposed to be, the elevated, transcending, uplifted people, you want to be one of those, you got to watch out for rote, mechanical, autopilot observance. Something you have to be very, 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 very careful for. And you have to make sure, because the first time you do something, you're often very sensitive to it and aware and feeling it. And then it becomes easy to become a robot. A person can keep the Torah but be like a Jewish observant robot. And there's a lot of things, and this has broad application. You could be married, and the first week or the first month, or with your wife, your girlfriend, your fiance, you're like all sensitive. What do I say? So on and so forth. But you take the person for granted. Maybe it's the guy you're taking for granted. Some ladies watch these videos. We know who you are too. You don't want to take your fiance for granted or your husband. You don't want to take anybody for granted, right? It's what happens. We leave our relationships, our appreciation, our parenting, some of the best things in the world. We leave them to rote, mechanical, robotic observance. The Ramchal is saying it's a problem you have to look out for if you want to be a spiritually sensitive person. So how do we get out of it? He started talking about this on page 7 in the English. So he says, and then he continues to go on and he talks about being a God-fearing person. And in terms of that, which is one of the things that's high level, but you have to make sure you don't become robotic, even in being a God-fearing, spiritual person who recognizes creator. Yeah, I serve God. Yeah, like a robot. Like you're on autopilot, like there's some, like if I would turn around, you find a key that's in like your back, and it's like your wind up. Like, that's the way you go to synagogue, that's the way you pray, that's the way you give charity, that's the way you do your good. I don't think so, You want to have a body and a soul in all of the mitzvahs, all the spirituality you do, okay? So he says that basically in order to attain this, you have to go after, whether it's becoming a God-fearing person and all of the good spirituality and all of the ways we want to uplift ourselves, our characters, inside, outside, everything else. He says it has to be sought. You have to seek it the way a person would seek silver and search for a treasure, okay? Maybe those will be my parting words to you. If you're seeking it consistently and putting your mind and your heart and all your power into it, and that's how you do it, you're all there. If that's the way you do it, you'll make sure that you're not going to have mechanical observance. You're not going to become robotic, not in your relationships, not in your relationships with other people, whether it's family or otherwise, certainly not in your relationship with God. and observing his commandments. You got to go after like a treasure, right? So some people, they think, oh yeah, I know what it's like to go search for a treasure. I go to work, I'm a demon of intensity, trying to hustle and work and push and make money. Yeah, there I search for the the gold and silver. I know how to search for that for a treasure, like a treasure, But my spirituality, my Torah study, my mitzvah observance, I'm going to chase that like a treasure. I mean, for a lot of people, they can't relate to that gear. But spirituality has to be treated like silver, like gold, like diamonds, and you go all after it like it's precious. If you do that and you retain that attitude, you'll acquire it, and you will not become a wind-up human being going through life, even a spiritual robot, okay? Something you have to look out for: body and soul. Body, you have to look out for your body. You have to have a soul. You have both, you're living, and the same with your observance, okay? Many of us have met people of all kinds of backgrounds and faiths that they maybe observe the technicalities of the religion, and people say, oh, that dude's religious. And I would tell you, there's spiritual and religious and spiritual. If you are observing the technicalities, for example, of the Jewish religion, that's my background. If you're observing the technicalities, you're observant to the commandments. But to be religious, you got to put your heart into it. You got to show up, as I try to do when we make these videos. Anyway, it's Rabbi Shlomo Zalman Bregman of the Jewish Executive Learning Network and BregmanSuccess.com. We're learning the Mesilas Yesharim. I'm sharing with you some ideas. Path of the Just by Rabbi Moshe Chaim Luzzatto. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you have, I hope you'll give it a like, so other people will know that we have found some wisdom that is like treasure, right? Just trying to tie that in. And I would hope you would please share it with other people so more people can learn and grow together. And that is the ultimate compliment you could give me, that you think that something we learned together in Torah today, in our Torah study, is worthy of being shared with your public and your friends, because that is the nicest compliment you can give me. Okay, till the next time, we will continue with our Mesilas Yesharim. Have a great day. Be great. Fulfill your potential. There for you, waiting. You can do it. I'm going to go home. Bye.